Okay, welcome back. We are talking about the 1980 classic, Maniac. I decided that while doing the William Lustig binge of his directorial police procedural action horror slasher schlock movies, Maniac Cops, all three of them, I decided to fuck it, let's see the one I've heard the most about out of all of them, that apparently he directed, that it just happenstance that he directed these and got me curious. Maniac from 1980. I have never seen this, but I've heard good things. I've heard things, so I wanted to check it out and just see what all the hubbub was. Mainly, I see shirts of like the cover of like the scalped hair and the knife, and then like the jean. Like I see shirts of or people wearing shirts of that, and that's a striking fucking cover. That is such a good cover because you see that and you're like, oh, even if you have no idea what the plot is, you see that and you're like. Maniac, as already described, is directed by our boy William Lustig. Doesn't star Robert Davi though, so like it stars Joe Spinell, who was very prolific in a bunch of movies from the 70s and 80s, was workshopping writing a Maniac 2. There's a 5-minute short somewhere I found. I didn't do any digging to find it, but there's a 5-minute short of a proposed like pitch short, I guess, to make a sequel. And Joe was from what I was reading, was pretty far into writing that, and then I didn't look into how he died, so I will put it up. I'll put it up here, how he passed, but what I did read is that it was an untimely death, so that's all I know. And I'm gonna look really fucking stupid saying all this without having any actual knowledge of how he passed. So here's like a screenshot of Wikipedia or something telling you what happened. Feel free to pause and read, but Joe Spinell stars in. He is our Maniac, and he also, I believe, wrote this movie. And he, if the name doesn't sound familiar to you, he was in, I have them all written here, so allow me to just kind of glance. He starred in Godfather 1, 2, Taxi Driver, and Rocky 1 and 2. I recognized his face probably from Rocky 1 and 2. I've never seen the Godfather movies or Taxi Driver, and I'm sorry. I recognized his face in this movie, but he's very greasy and sweaty and gross looking on purpose. So there was just like this like layer of like, I feel like I've seen this guy before, but like I could just be crazy. This could just be like this guy's one thing ever. Because this, before I keep side tangent, this feels like a movie that would be made and you look at the cast like I stuffed Stephanie in the incinerator. It all comes back to this fucking movie. Like a stuffed Stephanie in the incinerator thing where you look at the cast and you're like, what else have they been in? Oh, nothing. What else has the director done? Oh, nothing. What else has the writer done? Oh, it's the same as the main character, and they've done nothing. Huh. Instead, from what I could read, a lot of people from the cast and crew in total have had, like, lasting careers. It also stars Carolyn Monroe as our kind of sort of female lead, but, like, not really. She's in the movie the most out of every other woman in the movie for reasons we'll get into. I also have some stuff that she's starred in, so... She starred in The Spy Who Loved Me, Slaughter High, and Casino Royale from 1967. Because I believe it was no Daniel Craig, Casino Royale. James Bond is like, much like Taxi Driver and The Godfather, James Bond is a blank space for me. I've never seen any of them, so I know that there's 2 movies called Casino Royale, and I wanted to specify which one she's in. The last big name I do want to shout out here is Tom Savini stars in this, and for those who may not be aware, Tom Savini was in From Dusk Till Dawn. He was a star in Friday the 13th, From Dusk Till Dawn, Dawn of the Dead, I believe both, but definitely the original, Planet Terror. In Dusk Till Dawn, he's the guy that has I think that's like his most recognizable, for me in general, that's like the most recognizable, that's Tom Savini. In From Dusk Till Dawn, if you've ever seen that, when they get to the bar over the border of Mexico, he's the guy who has the revolver that makes no fucking sense, that is on his dick, and the barrel comes up and it has like 2 chambers, or not chambers, spinners, I don't know, gun stuff. I know that the thing you put your finger in is the trigger well. A lot of people don't know that. They struggle with the trigger well. But they got the cylinders, 2 cylinders, and then the gun barrel's in the middle of them, so it looks like a dick. And the barrel pops up like a boner. And the gun makes no fucking sense. I think he uses it once in the movie, and it's great. And you know looking at that was him. He had that idea. It was just like, I want the dick gun. The most important thing about Tom Savini for me is he is the special effects artist behind Friday the 13th 1 and 4, Dawn of the Dead, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, Creepshow, Martin, and The Prowler, which I would think are some of the most remembered or impactful 80s slasher movies of that era, Friday the 13th especially. The effect in that first Friday the 13th movie of the spear going through Kevin Bacon's neck Tom Savini, baby. Whenever I'm thinking special effects artists, I always think Tom Savini and John Carl Biegler for some reason. I'm not gonna say that like he didn't do anything impressive. He did, but I don't know why it's just those two when there's like so many other ones. But bottom line is I once I saw in the credits that Tom Savini not only was in it but did do the effects as well, I was like, okay, interested now. So I just wanted to put that out there and gush about Tom Savini for a second. So Maniac is a slasher, more so psychological horror. See, here's the thing when talking about movies that are kind of well known. Like Maniac Cop, I know is known in the schlock verse. So people kind of just like, there's a different audience from the Maniac Cop side of schlock where it's like, I know this from experience of other people talking about schlocky movies that I love, where it's just, I just want to hear other people gush about certain things that they liked about it. And then for movies that are more well known and have like some sort of pedigree to them, I'm gonna get crucified because I have the ability to, but I'm not going to put forth the effort to have an intellectual discussion about Maniac, a movie that came out 18 years before I was born. Not that the age of it matters, because overall, I'm going to say I liked this movie quite a bit, but I just want you to be aware of that a movie that has like some sort of pedigree or is well known, I'm going to come at this looking like a college frat guy in comparison, all right? So Maniac is a slasher, but more so psychological horror, and I'll say the main thing is it is slow. It is a slow burn. And while it's going to put some people off because they have no patience, it really works in this movie to just let you wallow in seedy, gross 1980 New York and seedy, gross, yucky shit that the main character's doing. The main character, we don't get a whole lot on him throughout the movie. There's little bits and pieces that if you're like really astutely watching and taking notes and are a scholar who graduated from Harvard and Yale and just said, I'm going to a community college too just to fucking run laps around these bitches, you'll pick up on these things. I'm a dumb asshole who hasn't gotten his hair cut in 7 months. Not because he wants to grow it out. I'm just too fucking lazy. I'm a dad. We're lucky I get out of bed in the morning. So it's a slow burn and it really lets you sit. Our main character is the serial killer. This entire movie, for the most part, we are with him. We are with him when he's in the car. We're with him when he's stalking somebody. We're with him when he's murdering said somebody. And we're with him when he scalps said somebody and puts their hair on a mannequin and has the mannequin wear it like a wig and puts on the clothing that they were murdered in on those mannequins. This is a gross movie. But I mean that in a fully positive way, because none of the killings are glorified. You never get the same sense as you would, say, a Friday the 13th, where you're waiting for Jason to show up and just murk these teenagers. Here, I don't want to say this and sound like everyone's sadistic, but you're almost hoping that they get away. You don't want this fucker to murder them. And it also works really well because every single woman is given just a teensy ounce of characterization to make you relate to them and understand their plight, and then now they've become the subject of this fucking freak's stalking, and now they're gone. The worst thing, I was thinking about this while watching it, because I was like, in other teen slasher movies, in other dead teenager movies, our teenagers that are killed most of the time are given like flaws that, while don't like justify them dying, it helps to make you feel less bad about them dying in a weird way, if that makes sense. Or maybe I'm just, listen, we're like, 14 movies in now? Maybe I've just seen too much. But you're given a sense of like, I'm thinking from the Friday the 13th perspective, right? Because the one that always survives is usually a final girl, and it's the final girl who's been modest the whole time, very nice, didn't dare have sex once, and they're usually the ones that make it out alive from these things. The worst thing that any of the women in this movie do is, like, the first girl is a prostitute because she has to make rent. I don't know if I'm too lackadaisical or not, but that's not bad enough for me to be like, it's okay that they died. That's like a human struggle in a weird sense. Not that everybody and anybody can just resort to prostituting to make rent. That's just the place that she's at. She's at a point now where she has to do this, and it doesn't. You don't feel good. This movie is just gross, and fully intentionally so. I need to move on now because I've been walking around in circles. The main point is this movie doesn't glorify the violence because that could be, I don't know, viewed as dangerous, probably. If it was glorifying the violence while our main character is a violent stalker, serial killer, piece of shit. Yeah, it doesn't glorify it, and it's done very well. I will say the gore in this movie is properly disgusting. It's Tom Savini. There is only one moment that kind of throws everything off just a little bit, genuine excitement, because you know those scenes in horror movies. No matter what kind of horror movie, they always have like one thing in it that just kind of makes you freak out, and not in like the, oh my god, I'm so scared freak out, in the, that was the coolest shit or hypest fucking shit I've ever seen. Holy hell. Tom Savini gets his head blown to shit. And I don't mean just like a piddly like poop, there's the bullet and then the blood. I'm talking double barrel, 12 gauge to the head, popped. We don't explode heads in movies enough, dude. It is always amazing. It is always a moment that makes your audience go, just get violently hyped. There's nothing more exciting and impactful in a movie than a good head explosion. Look at Scanners. Oh, fuck. Yo! Holy shit! Whoa! Of course Tom Savini would want his head blown up. Holy shit! Wow! That's fucking nuts! And that's like the only one moment where, and that's probably just my barbaric nature of like, I had to go pop, and that's amazing. Maybe to other people that's like horribly disgusting and shocking. And you know what, now that I'm thinking about it, that probably was the intention, unfortunately. Knowing how Tom Savini talks about the effects for his movies and interviews and stuff, there's a non-0% chance that he was like, hey, I'll be in your movie if you let me explode my own head. There's a non-0% chance that that's what happened there. But I will say that's the only one thing that threw me off, and that's probably just a me thing. I feel like if you showed this to like your grandmother, she'd vomit. I will say my only like real minor complaint, and this is a monkey paw situation which we'll get into later, but my only real complaint is we don't get a whole lot on why he's doing this. We get like little tiny sprinkles. It's clear that he had an abusive childhood. He has a cigarette burn on his chest. It's clear that something happened in his childhood related to his mother, because he only goes after women to kill. So assumedly something happened in his childhood that he was abused and just hates women, or prioritizes killing women over men, even though he kills, I believe, 2 men in the movie, Tom Savini and then somebody at the beginning. But it is just to get to a woman, to then scalp her and then put her hair on a mannequin. So something happened in his childhood, and that's never really like fully explained, and I'm fine with that. But I'm the kind of weirdo that wants to see the motivation and to why. And where the monkey paw curls on that is what we'll talk about tomorrow. I don't want to say anything right this instant. I think this isn't really even a negative, it's just more intrigue. There's moments after he kills somebody where it's almost like he snaps back to reality and is regretful over what he's done. Whether he's talking to himself in like a southern accent to replicate his mom, who's scolding him, or he himself is just like beating himself up about what he's just done. Like, the intrigue there is he even consciously aware that he's killing these women? But he kind of has to be, because he knows to scalp them and take the hair home with him and put it on a mannequin. So, like, he has to kind of be aware. But the psychology of him is what I want to know more of. The monkey's paw curls. So that's, like, really my only real complaint. Apart from just, it's slow, but that's not even really, like, a whatever. If the movie's interesting, I don't give a shit how slow it is. I will watch it as long as it's interesting, and this movie was very interesting. It's a very, very, very slow burn, but it's interesting. I didn't even talk about the plot, but I really don't even want to be honest with you. If this seems like a movie that would interest you on a psychological horror basis, go for it. If not, watch Tom Savini's head explode on YouTube or somewhere where you can find it, and move on with your life, because it is one of the best head explosions I've ever seen in a movie. But yeah, it's more of a character study, more of a slow burn than anything else we've talked about. Shivers was slow-ish at the start, very front-loaded, very kind of slow middle of building everything, to then the ass zombie orgy at the end. Shivers had good conventional pacing, I will say, for a movie from 1975. This came out the same year as The Shining, and I would also say The Shining's a fairly slow burn as well. So, maybe conventional pacing for a movie from 1980. Exactly, I don't know. Overall, I want to give Maniac from 1980 a solid 4 out of 5, just on as a movie. I'm not even putting this schlockometer. This is straight as a movie. This is a 4 out of 5. It is interesting. It is very interesting, and it's almost a movie that I feel like I would like more on a second rewatch now. But there's also another part of me that's like, I don't think I want to watch this again. And those two wolves inside of me, they're barking, they're fighting. And I don't know which one's gonna win, but we'll find out eventually, brother. So yeah, I don't know. Maniac gets a 4 out of 5. It's a good movie. If it seems interesting to you at all, watch it. Just be prepared. You're not gonna feel great during it. You're not gonna feel too great after it. So if you're okay with the movie just kind of making your day kind of like, go for it. I think it's all right. Tomorrow, we're gonna talk about a movie from 13 years ago, so fairly modern-ish. See you then. I did the finger gun thing again. I swear I wasn't going to. Why did I do that? And also didn't shave my face, so I look gross. That is a Tom Savini head, if I've ever seen one. Holy shit.